Hello everyone, my name is Ben Robinson, Ben Bola. I've been doing a lot of guitar videos lately, some piano videos, some Let's Play video game videos, and this is a few years old now. This is the case it came in, a Setar. It is my goal this morning to make a video for the Setar that I bought on Amazon. You might be able to get it in your city if you do the right research. Treat people respectfully. Which I hope I've been, I try to be respectful, but for me, I'm coming to this as an outsider. So this is the Setar. As I was saying, I'm going to try to make this an hour-long video of exploring the Setar. I've only played it a few times. It cost about $160 a few years ago, and that's Canadian dollars a few years ago. So yeah, we've got our tuner pegs here. They're very delicate. You have to push them in like a violin tuner. I don't play violin, but I was told this is like a violin. So, I don't know if you can see this one here, I replaced the string, and it was one of my, I guess, the first time restringing this instrument. I did a kind of sloppy job, but it still works. So this is what would be called in the guitar the headstock. If you want a little mnemonic to help you remember that, you may know, if you're a guitar player, or if you like rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, if there's a bustle in your headroom. I think of that when I think about this being the headstock. So, if there's a bustle in your headroom, whatever. I think that's Kashmir by Led Zeppelin back in the 70s. Anyways, who cares? So we've got the headstock, and it turns into the neck. Each of these, you see there's lines, basically. Something has been wrapped around and tied. It may be some kind of gut. So those would be our frets if this was a guitar. And that would be our sound holes and our bridge. We do have a nut. This thing here is called the nut. Basically the nut is one of the things that controls the action. The bridge is the other thing. So basically the action on this, I think you would call it low, but the action, the strings are extremely close to, they come closer when it comes closer to the sound holes, but the strings are extremely close to the neck and to the bridge into the sound hole. So that all of that is called the action. So we've got, let's see, this is really not, this is, I had a friend, another guitar player, who said this would be called a lute in English terms. L-U-T-E. There is actually a pop band called Lute. They're called L-O-O-T-E. And if you search Amazon 2019 end of March, that's when we're recording this. If you search for like Indian or Middle Eastern. I know that's a huge territory, but in my situation, that kind of gets lumped together, unfortunately. Anyways, they one of their top selling products is a kind of flute. So yeah, you can also get, there's a lute, if you search for a lute on Amazon, in my region, there's a bit of dust on here. So there's something called an oud. Oud. It's a O-U-D is the spelling that I know it as. That's a Turkish instrument, or at least the one that's available to me. There's a harmonium. I think that's Indian. I don't know. So yeah, the oud is basically, you see here this, we've got this kind of round base for the I don't know what you call it, the base of the instrument. An oud would have this is a setar, S-E-T-A-R. This has a very long neck by pretty much any standard of a stringed instrument. And an oud is basically the opposite. You have a very large bass, and then you have what's kind of like a mandolin, which is, mandolins are Chinese, but they're also English, I think. I think there's a history of English mandolins a few hundred years back. So the oud is like it's like a sitar kind, or well, no, it's like a lute. So it has a large bass and a surprisingly small or short neck, and it has, I think it's 8 strings, or I'm not sure, but it has a few sets of double strings. These can be found in the double, the 12-string guitar. Most guitars are 6 strings. I don't know if you just think of a guitar, 6 strings. And then if you get a 12-string guitar, you either have to have 2 necks, or you have to put the strings really close to each other. So you have 2 sets of 6 strings, and you have to be very delicate with it. So the mandolin has, I believe, 8 strings, 2 sets of 4. And the oud is kind of like a mandolin, but it's also like a lute. It sounds kind of like a bass guitar. Anyway, so, but this is the sitar. Yeah. So, in other videos you may have seen me talk about how we have a drone string and a regular string. I think it goes, I don't remember, but I think the proper tuning is C, C, E, C, something like that. Surprise! It's a little bit strange that the instrument has 3 of its 4 strings in the standard tuning set to the same frequency, the same tune, and then your drone string, that's the proper drone string, would be out of that standard tuning, and so you would be like, okay, let me show you. I'm gonna get away from the vanity of my face. Okay, so um, and that's completely out of tune. So anyway, so I broke. It's very for me. It was very. I was also a beginner in guitar and breaking guitar strings, but I broke my what would be called the low E in guitar terms. The what would be called the fourth. Well, it would be the sixth on a six-string guitar. It's the string closest to your head. I broke that string when I was experimenting with this, and I had an extra set of strings. I think the Setar that I bought came with an extra set of strings, but you can also buy them on Amazon, or you could, or you can. I don't know. Check it around. So basically, even though I kept breaking strings as I was stringing them up, because it was my first time stringing them, and I ended up having my low string, my fourth string closest to my head. I ended up stringing a drone string, so that's not the standard way of doing it. So it's absolutely out of tune. So normally you would be playing string 4, 3, and 1 in the same tune, and then the second string, or the third string closest to your head out of 4 strings, would be the drone string. And I'm not completely familiar with this type of music. I have some kind of, I've heard it once in a while. When they're all tuned up, you can kind of figure it out. So anyway, we don't even have to be, for the purposes of this demonstration, it's not necessary to even have them in a proper tune. Like if you truly want to explore the instrument, you can just put down fret it, basically. Fret it wherever you want. And that creates a kind of dissonance, I think is the right word. So you can go. And just play around, see what. Just keep working until you can find something that you like. See, that's arguably melodic. So you can do it that way, or you can focus on one string. This is my fourth string closest to my head, which, as I explained, is a drone string. So you can do it like that. And actually, all of this technique that I'm showing you right now, I know it's really advanced, but whatever. It can be translated into a guitar. So say you had a guitar, say this was not Setar, but it was a guitar, and we had it tuned E, A, D, G, B, E. You could just, on the guitar, go, just noodle it. And actually, though, I have right here, this is something for stringed instruments, mostly the guitar, but I also have a single-stringed instrument. So I forget what it's called. It's a glass something. I know it's completely out of tune. So let's, you know what, most of the problem, aside from it being out of standard tuning, most of the problem is the strings are not taut enough. They're not, they're not tightly strung enough. So let's go over here. See that you get that from you got that sound from making the strings tighter. And as you can hear, I hope you can hear it. And I hope you can see it. I'm very. It's like tuning a radio dial, very minimally tuning this Setar, and just that tiny bit of change changes the tonality. Oh boy, not enough sleep. So what's this? So that string, so the third string, the second string closest to my head is this one. That sounds good. So then this one would be the second string, or the third string closest to my head, which is the drone string. Oh boy. So, oh geez. Let's roll up my sleeve. And we will okay, so the first string, or the one closest to my feet, So yeah, I don't have it specifically tuned to anything, but we can go. It makes a lot more noise because I don't know why, because the strings are tighter. So we get our little glass slider here. That's what it's called, a slider. Here we go.